Hello and welcome to Beginner English Storytime, your go-to place to finally master English and unlock the confidence to speak fluently. Have you ever found yourself sitting alone, wishing you could speak English just like the people you watch on YouTube or in movies? You try to speak, but the words get stuck. You look at your book or your phone, feeling a little hopeless, and you think to yourself, "Why can't I speak like that? Why does it seem so easy for everyone else?" You've studied the grammar, you know the vocabulary, and you feel like you're doing everything right. But when it comes time to speak, you freeze. It's as though your mind goes blank. And before you know it, you're embarrassed, frustrated, and stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. Now, I want you to stop for a moment and really listen. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about learning English up until now is incomplete? You don't need to wait for the perfect partner to practice with. You don't need perfect grammar, and you definitely don't need an expensive course. What you need is a system, a simple, effective way to practice speaking English, even when you're by yourself. In this video, I'm not just going to give you tips. I'm going to share with you a complete plan that will change your English speaking forever. And you can do it all on your own, starting today. The truth is, there's a way to practice speaking without feeling like you need a teacher or a conversation partner. This system has worked for countless learners who felt stuck and hopeless. People who didn't have money, didn't have a teacher, and didn't have anyone to practice with. Yet, they became fluent English speakers. This isn't a motivational speech. It's a proven system, one that will help you unlock the fluent speaker inside you. No more waiting, no more self-doubt. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Talk to yourself, the first powerful practice. You may be wondering, what do you mean by talking to myself? Yes, you heard me right. Talk to yourself every day. Now, I know what you're thinking. It might sound strange, right? But I promise you, this is the most powerful practice you can do to start building fluency. Let me explain. Think about how babies learn to speak. They don't sit in a classroom, reading grammar books or memorizing lists of vocabulary. Instead, they start by making sounds, repeating words, and talking to themselves. No one understands them at first, but over time, through constant repetition, they begin to form words, then sentences, then full conversations. That's how they build fluency. Now, what if you could do the same thing? Think about this. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, stand in front of the mirror and start speaking in English. Not in your head, but out loud. You could start by saying something simple like, "Good morning. Today is Monday. I woke up at 7 a.m., brushed my teeth, and made tea. Now I'm ready to start my day." You don't have to worry about making mistakes. You don't need to be perfect. Just talk. This is the key. You're training your brain to think in English. You're training your mouth to move with English sounds. And guess what? You're starting to build confidence with each word you say. You're no longer waiting for someone else to help you. You're taking control. And let me tell you a story. I had a student who was from a small town. She had never spoken English in school and felt hopeless about learning, but she decided to give it a try. Every day she would stand in front of her mirror for just 10 minutes, speaking English out loud. At first she hated the sound of her own voice. She felt awkward, but she kept going, day after day. And after just 1 month, her confidence soared. She started speaking with others in English and even got a job interview in English. She passed the interview not because she was perfect, but because she practiced. This is the power of talking to yourself. So, start tomorrow. Stand in front of that mirror and speak. No permission needed, no excuses, just speak. The power of listening to yourself. But wait, it's not just about talking to yourself. You also need to listen to yourself. Most learners make a huge mistake here. They talk, but never listen. And that's why they stay stuck. Imagine this. You take your phone, hit the record button, and speak for just 2 minutes. Maybe you talk about your day. Today, I woke up at 6 a.m., had coffee, and went to work. I was feeling tired, but excited to start my day. Or maybe you talk about a goal. I want to speak English fluently so I can travel the world and communicate with people from different cultures. Now you listen to that recording. At first, you might hate the sound of your voice. It might feel awkward or uncomfortable, but that's exactly where growth begins. You'll start to hear things you've been missing. Did I pronounce that word correctly? Was I too slow or too fast? Did I make any grammar mistakes? Once you hear your mistakes, you can work on fixing them. Let me tell you about a man who worked in a hotel. He had no one to practice with, but he desperately wanted to speak better English. Every night he recorded himself speaking, and every night he listened with pain in his heart. He noticed his mistakes, his hesitation, his poor grammar. But he didn't stop. After 3 months, his speaking had transformed. He was confidently greeting guests in English, even giving small speeches at his hotel. Not because he had a teacher, but because he had the courage to listen, learn, and improve. This habit of recording, listening, and improving can change everything. Try it tonight. Record yourself, listen, and start improving. Now, let's talk about shadowing. Shadowing is one of the most underrated techniques to sound like a native speaker. What is shadowing? It's simple. You listen to a native speaker, then immediately repeat exactly what they say, trying to match their tone, rhythm, and emotion. Why does it work? Because it forces you to focus on everything at once. Your ears are listening, your mouth is moving, and your mind is processing the language. It teaches your body how English feels. Shadowing helps you stop translating from your native language to English. It trains you to speak naturally, just like a native speaker. Here's how you can do it. Choose a short video or audio, something that's 30 seconds to a minute long. Listen to the first sentence. Pause the video and repeat exactly what the speaker said. Record yourself and compare it to the original. How close are you? Repeat this with each sentence until it flows naturally. Let me give you an example. One of my students, a huge fan of motivational speeches, used shadowing to improve. Within weeks, her speaking sounded much more fluid, and she was matching the rhythm and tone of the speaker. Shadowing is like training your mouth to speak English naturally. So pick a video or podcast, start shadowing, and let your English sound more authentic. And here's one last secret to mastering English: storytelling. When you tell a story, you're doing so much more than just practicing words. You're expressing emotions, thoughts, and experiences. You're using past, present, and future tenses naturally. You're practicing grammar, vocabulary, and structure, all without even thinking about it. Storytelling helps your brain think in complete sentences, which is essential for fluency. You don't need anything fancy. Just start telling a story from your own life. Last week, I went to the market. It was raining and I didn't have an umbrella. I had to buy vegetables, but I didn't mind the rain. It made me feel like I was part of something real. As you speak, add details, add emotion, make it interesting, And if you want, you can even tell a story about an object or a photo you've got lying around. Just start speaking. The more you speak with emotion, the more natural your English will become. If you've made it this far, I want you to remember this. Fluency isn't about perfection, it's about practice. And the best part? You don't need anyone else to practice with. You can do it on your own, starting today. You've got your voice, you've got your mirror, you've got your phone, and now you have the tools to practice speaking English in a way that's natural, effective, and most important. So get started. Talk to yourself. Listen to your voice. Shadow native speakers. Tell stories. And don't stop. Your English isn't going to improve overnight, but if you commit to these practices every day, you'll be amazed at how far you can go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If this helped, make sure to subscribe, and remember, your voice is powerful. Go speak, the world is waiting for you.